today I want to highlight a story that I read on yesterday, and the reason why I'm taking this story and talking about it is because I think that we can learn something from it as truck driving business owners and freight brokerage business owners. The story I read yesterday was about a trucking company, an LTL refrigerated trucking company based out of Michigan, a family-owned company with over 50 years in business. And in 2022, they had to close their doors. 2023, this year, all of their equipment went up for auction. Over 180 assets, over 100 reefer trailers, about 35 semi-trucks, and about 38 dry van trailers. Now here's the deal. What caused them to have to close their doors in 2022? 50 years before, they've never had this type of problem. They've always been able to get through the storm. What was so different about 2022? Why weren't they able to weather this particular storm with all of the knowledge that they have, with all of the experience that they have, with all of the know-how that they have? Why couldn't they get through this storm in 2022? What was so different about 2022? According to the article, it said that their manufacturers that they were working with, the shipping companies they were working with, wanted to decrease their shipping cost. And the reason for decreasing the shipping cost was because their overall cost had increased. But here's the problem with that. The trucking company's cost didn't decrease. So now they would be operating on smaller margins and still trying to move freight on those smaller margins. And they just couldn't handle it, I guess, and their train ran off the track. But the good thing about it is that they had another division of their trucking company. They had a freight brokerage company as well. And according to the article, a lot of their customers are now working with them on the freight brokerage side. But the trucking company is no more. Now, in the article, it also stated that there's a possibility that they're going to go back into business as a trucking company at some point because trucking is in their blood. They understand that business. That's what they've been doing all of their lives. So it makes sense at some point, maybe they'll go back into it. Here's what I think is important for us as business owners to learn from this story. It's important to have something else other than what you do for your main thing. See, they had a trucking company, but they also had a freight brokerage company. And that freight brokerage company, you don't have to have as much overhead as you would have with a trucking company. And you can basically still service your customer using other people's trucks. We as freight brokers and truck drivers, we need to understand that concept. It's so important that we have something other than the main thing that we're doing, because it's very, very likely that your main thing could be interrupted. Your income from that main source could be interrupted. And if it is, do you have something else that you can fall back on? That's what good business owners do. They don't put all of their eggs in one basket and hope that the basket doesn't fall. Because we understand that things could happen and that basket could fall and all of your eggs could be broken. As good business owners, we insulate ourselves. We don't put all of our eggs in one basket and just hope for the best. We do what's necessary to make sure that we secure our businesses and secure your future. If you don't do that, you're hanging yourself out to dry. It just makes sense to have something to fall back on, right? Because it's going to get tough. It's going to get cloudy. There's a storm coming. And you're not always going to be able to weather the storm. Look at this business right here. With all of the time they had within the trucking business, they still couldn't weather that storm. Now, here's another thing I think is important for us to learn. We should always have a significant amount of cash on hand for tough times. Yes, you can have a credit line and you can access credit lines. And credit lines, you don't have to pay taxes on a credit line. But to me, having cash on hand that you can access is always a good thing, because you don't know when your day is coming. And when your day does come and you have some cash that you can put your hands on, it leaves you in a better position. Yes, sometimes you're going to have to cut payroll, and that means cutting employees. Yes, sometimes you're going to have to get rid of assets, especially assets that you're paying for. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where you could lose your entire business. Sometimes, I guess, there's no way around it. You can't get around that sometimes. But don't leave yourself out there where you don't have another option but to close your doors. I'm not saying that this business did a bad job of management. What I'm saying is that we want to learn from what it is that they went through. And they shared it in the article and told us what happened. And to me, when I look at it, when you're operating on smaller margins, when those margins get, decreased, that means less money is coming in. And anytime less money is coming in, that presents problems. So should we have a cushion for times where we may have less money? In my opinion, absolutely. There's no two ways about that. And that cushion could be a percentage of your cash on hand that can help you through those tough times. Again, credit lines aren't bad, but it's still debt. It's still debt that you have to pay back at sometimes. And you could have a shortage of cash where you can't pay your debt back, and still you have a problem on your hands. So let's look at it, learn from this story, and make sure that we're insulating ourselves, insulating our business, and being prepared as we possibly can for tough times. Hopefully you found value in the information that I shared with you today, and maybe this information will be able to help you manage the turbulent times that you will certainly have to deal with at some point in your own business. If you're interested in learning more about the freight brokerage business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series, and it's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It will give you a chance to come into the office with me via video, and you can watch as I move loads, talk to shippers and carriers to give you a better understanding of how this business works. And then if you're interested in learning more about how a customer's TMS system works, how it gives you access to the loads that you've been assigned to your customer, and you don't have to wait for that customer to send you loads so that you can provide bids on, I'll leave you a free video right here showing you exactly how that's done. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.